Hi there, this is Adolf Hitler, or shall I rather say I was known by the name Adolf Hitler while I was here on Earth for some years, and I'm certain I am profoundly well known on this earth and by many human beings. At the moment I'm also known as Mikey, and that is another story that is to be explained. So from Adolf Hitler on my earth life to Mikey in my dimensional existence to who I am here now, and both names fascinating, has no reference to who I am at this very moment as I'm communicating with you. Yet during my process and during the becoming and the realization of myself, the names have an importance. The names are valid, and both names have a fascinating story, have a fascinating experience behind them. So this will be quite an extensive few interviews that I will be doing, as we only have a certain amount of time to be able to communicate on one interview. And so I'll continue, and I'll start with my life here on Earth. When I was young, I was a little boy, and life seemed normal, though difficult. I grew up in very difficult times, especially in the category, I place money into a category, specifically in the category of money. And though I was very content with myself, as many young children are, excuse me, as many young children are, nothing really bothers them. There exist no fears yet, there exists no anger, there exist no emotions, no feelings that preoccupy them, as I would refer to it. Children don't yet have those concerns that grown-ups do. And I used to enjoy the simplicities of merely walking in nature, walking amongst the trees, the plants, feeling them brushing on my hands, on my feet as I'd walk barefoot, walking on the paths in my town, feeling the stones on my feet, feeling the ground on my feet, feeling the sun on my skin. The awareness of all that surrounds you when you're a child is magnificent, and it's interesting because it's as though that beauty that you experience, not only within yourself but also within this world, disappears as you become older. It is replaced with the inner conflicts, it is replaced with concerns, it is replaced with worry, it is replaced with fear, and it is replaced with anger. Those are the most prominent expressions I have found in grown-ups, if I would refer to it as that. And children, I would refer to children who are 6 years and younger. Because already at 7, or even 4 or 5, children in this world are already growing up, becoming grown-ups, having to take care of their family in some way or another. Children no longer have the freedom they used to have, like I had, to be able to walk in the evenings, late at night, sometimes not even come home, sleep in the forests or just outside the house. I did some strange things sometimes. Our dog used to never be allowed to get into the house, so some evenings when I was younger, I was about 4 or 5 years old, I'd go outside and sleep with him. And there was no, houses were open next to each other, neighbors knew each other, the town people talked, everybody knew everybody. And through time that seems to have disappeared completely. And this world has become the imprisonment of itself, and that's the last thing I intended for this world. Coming from me, Adolf Hitler, that was the last thing I intended. That is what I was actually trying to intervene with, because I knew it would be an inevitability that this world would become an imprisonment of itself, of its own, and that human beings will become prisoners in their own home. or become prisoners in their own world. And I'm returning to when I was a child, and one day something interesting occurred. I started seeing, but I started seeing differently. As a child, as a child there was always something within me hindering me, like in my solar plexus, that there's something wrong in this world. Everything seemed tranquil, everything seemed peaceful, everything seemed perfect, too perfect, when I looked at this world. As a child, walking along the paths, walking in the forests, experiencing the feeling of the grass and the plants and the flowers on my hands, the sun on my face. Sometimes even when it rained, I enjoyed it, standing in the rain, having the raindrops fall on my skin, experiencing that moment of the water dripping down your face, as though caressing you in a way. I always thought that it was God, kind of saying hello, because in those raindrops it really felt as though someone was just brushing my face, and a warm sense of safety, a warm sense of peace and love resonated within me as an experience when I stood in that rain. And I would just open my arms, and it's like you're standing there absolutely vulnerable, absolutely open, no fear. And in that moment it's like you're in God's presence. Yet, the more I continued to look at this world, or even that little town where I lived in, I looked at the houses, I looked at the people, I looked at the animals, I looked at the trees, I looked at the grass, I looked at the ground, and the more I became aware of my surroundings, the more it felt like this seems to be too perfect. It seems to be too in place. It seems to be designed. As though I'm in this creator's world. I don't believe in a God, but that experience of the rain was the experience of God. And I wondered, that experience of me, is it that God essence that has designed all of this? If yes, who am I in this, and what am I doing here? So I'll continue with that in my second interview. Thanks.